Ambassador Park Hyun-woo walked slowly through the great halls of the Galactic Council building. His simple black suit looked plain next to the fancy robes and armor worn by other species. The building itself was huge, made of crystal and metal, that sparkled in the light of 3 different suns. Representatives from dozens of worlds moved through the halls, their voices mixing together in languages he had learned over many years. Hyun-woo stopped at a large window and looked out at the spaceport. Massive ships from across the galaxy sat on landing pads. Some were as big as cities, covered in weapons and shields that could destroy planets. Others looked like living things, grown instead of built. Earth's ships looked like toys next to them. Small, simple, and made of basic metal and plastic. "Ambassador Park," a voice said behind him. Hyun-woo turned to see Counselor HFY, a tall blue creature with 4 arms and eyes that glowed like stars. "I trust your journey from Earth was comfortable?" "Very comfortable, thank you," Hyun-woo replied with a small bow. "Our ships are slow, but they get us where we need to go." HFY made a sound that might have been laughter. "Yes, your quaint technology. How goes the mining operation in the Outer Rim? I hope your people are finding the work suitable." "We are grateful for the opportunity to serve the Council," Hyun-woo said. "The asteroid fields provide good materials, and our people enjoy the simple work." This was the dance they always did. The Council members would ask about human progress, and Hyun-woo would give answers that made humans sound weak and simple. Earth was good for basic jobs like mining rocks and cleaning up space junk. Nothing important. Nothing threatening. "Excellent," HFY said. "The Council appreciates species that know their place in the galaxy." The alien walked away, his robes flowing behind him. Hyun-woo watched him go, then touched a small device in his ear. It looked like a simple communication tool, but it was much more than that. "Min-ah, are you getting all this?" Agent Cho Min-ah sat in a security office 3 floors below, wearing the uniform of a Council maintenance worker. Her screens showed dozens of different views from cameras hidden throughout the building. To anyone watching, she was just another human doing simple work. "I heard everything," Min-ah whispered into her own device. "HFY just sent a message to the military council. They're discussing the new weapon tests scheduled for next week." "Good. Make sure Dr. Lee knows what to show them." "Already done. He'll demonstrate fusion power at level 3 efficiency just like always." Hyun-woo smiled slightly. Level 3 efficiency was what most species achieved when they first discovered fusion power. Earth had been using level 12 efficiency for over 200 years, but the Council didn't need to know that. Across the galaxy, Dr. Lee Taemin stood in a laboratory on Earth's moon. Through the clear walls, he could see the blue and green planet below. The lab looked simple and basic, with equipment that seemed old and clunky. This was the lab the Council inspectors would visit next week. The real laboratories were hidden deep underground on Earth, in places the Council had never seen. There, human scientists worked with technology that would make the Council's greatest minds weep with envy. Faster than light communication without any delay. Weapons that could crack moons in half. Ships that could travel between stars in hours instead of days. But the Council would see none of that. They would see Taemin's primitive fusion reactor that barely produced enough power to light a small city. They would nod and smile and make notes about how humans were trying so hard with their limited abilities. "Dr. Lee," his assistant said, walking up with a tablet. "Admiral Kim wants to speak with you." Taemin nodded and walked to a private office. He pressed his hand to a scanner that looked broken but actually used technology the Council had never invented. The wall slid open to reveal a hidden room with a large screen. Admiral Kim So-ra appeared on the screen. She stood on the bridge of a ship that officially didn't exist. Behind her, Taemin could see crew members working at stations that controlled weapons powerful enough to destroy entire fleets. "Doctor," So-ra said, "how are the preparations for next week's inspection?" "Everything is ready, Admiral. The old reactor will put on a good show. I'll even make it spark a few times to show how hard we're trying." So-ra almost smiled. "Good. We need to maintain the image. What about the new Council species from the Kepler system? Have they been asking questions?" "A few. They're curious about our mining techniques. I've prepared some reports that show we're using very basic methods." "Excellent. The longer we remain invisible, the better we can prepare." Taemin had been part of the plan since he was young. Almost every human knew about it, though few knew all the details. Earth had joined the Galactic Council 300 years ago, when human technology was actually primitive compared to the other species. But humans learned fast, very fast. Within 50 years, Earth scientists had not only caught up to Council technology, but had moved far beyond it. They had discovered that the Council species all thought alike. They all used the same basic principles for their technology: energy weapons, force fields, faster-than-light travel that required massive amounts of power. Humans went a different way. They learned to work with gravity itself, to bend space and time. They built weapons that used the enemy's own energy against them. They created ships that could hide in plain sight by making sensors think they were something else entirely. But, instead of announcing their advances, Earth's leaders made a different choice. They decided to watch and learn, to study every species in the Council while pretending to be weak and harmless. It was the greatest secret in the galaxy's history. "Admiral," Taemin said, "there's something else. I've been monitoring Council communications. There are rumors about the Outer Rim." Sora's expression became serious. "What kind of rumors?" "Ships going missing. Entire mining operations vanishing without a trace. The Council thinks it might be pirates, but the pattern is wrong. Pirates take cargo and ships. These attacks leave nothing behind." "How many incidents?" 17 in the past month, and they're getting closer to Council space. Sora was quiet for a moment. "Keep monitoring and prepare the inspection props. We may need to keep playing weak for a while longer." The communication ended, and Taemin returned to his work. He looked out at Earth again, thinking about the millions of humans down there who lived normal lives while their planet held the greatest secret in the galaxy. In the Council building, Hyun-woo entered the main assembly hall. Hundreds of representatives sat in seats arranged around a central speaking area. Some looked like humans, but with different colored skin or extra arms. Others were so alien that Hyun-woo had needed years to understand how they communicated. Today's discussion was about trade routes and mining rights, boring subjects that let humans blend into the background. Hyun-woo took his seat in a section reserved for minor species, those considered too weak or primitive to have important opinions. As the meeting began, Hyun-woo listened to the debates about resource allocation and territory disputes. The Taas, powerful species, argued about who got the best planets and the most profitable trade routes. Earth was assigned new asteroid fields to mine, dangerous regions that other species didn't want to risk their valuable workers in. "We gratefully accept this assignment," Hyun-woo said when asked for his response. "Our people are well suited for such challenging work." What he didn't say was that these dangerous regions were perfect for hiding Earth's real activities. Each mining operation was actually a secret military base. Each cargo ship was actually a warship in disguise. The Council was paying Earth to build a hidden empire right under their noses. As the meeting ended, representatives began to leave for their ships. Hyun-woo walked slowly, letting others pass him. He looked like a tired diplomat from a backward planet, grateful for whatever scraps the Council threw his way. But in his mind, he was reviewing intelligence reports from across the galaxy. Earth now had agents in every major government, observers in every military, and scientists studying every technology the Council had developed. They knew the location of every important base, every secret weapon, every political weakness. And still, the Council saw them as simple miners and janitors. As Hyun-woo's small plane ship prepared to leave for Earth, he received one final message from Min-ah. Long-range sensors detected something interesting in the Outer Rim. Unknown ships, very large, moving toward Council space. The technology signatures don't match anything in our databases. Hyun-woo looked out his ship's window at the great Council fleet protecting the capital world. Thousands of ships with the most advanced weapons and shields the galaxy had ever seen. They looked powerful and dangerous, but Earth's hidden fleet was larger and much more dangerous. The question was, would they need to reveal themselves to face whatever was coming from the Outer Rim? The emergency alarm echoed through the Council building like a scream. Red lights flashed in every hallway as representatives ran toward the main assembly hall. Ambassador Park Hyun-woo walked calmly among the panic, his face showing the right amount of worry for someone from a weak species. Inside the assembly hall, the massive main screen showed images that made even the bravest council members step back in fear. A planet burned in space, its surface cracked and bleeding lava into the void. This had been Kethmore Prime, homeworld of the galaxy's greatest warriors. 2 billion Kethmori had lived there just days ago. Now it was a broken rock floating in. Space! The Veltar have returned, announced High Counselor Zephlon, his voice shaking despite his attempt to sound strong. The ancient creature's silver skin had turned pale, and his 6 eyes darted around the room. After 3,000 years of silence, they have emerged from the void regions. Murmurs filled the hall. Every species had stories about the Veltar, but most had thought them myths. Ancient legends spoke of a race that could destroy entire star systems that had once ruled half the galaxy before mysteriously disappearing into the empty spaces between stars. Impossible, declared General Mordun of the warrior caste. Her people were known for their courage in battle, but her voice carried a tremor of fear. The Veltar are extinct. Our ancestors drove them back into the void millennia ago. Tell that to the Kethmori, Zephlon replied, changing the image to show a recording from the attack. The footage showed Kethmore Prime's mighty defense fleet moving to intercept unknown ships. The Kethmori had the strongest military in the galaxy, with weapons that could cut through solid rock and shields that had never failed in battle. Their ships moved like a perfect wall of metal and energy, ready to protect their home. Then the Veltar ships appeared. They looked wrong somehow, as if they existed in a different kind of space. Their hulls seemed to shift and change, sometimes solid, sometimes transparent like ghosts. Energy weapons from the Kethmori fleet passed right through them as if they weren't there. But the Veltar weapons worked perfectly. Beams of dark energy reached out from the ghost ships and touched Kethmori vessels. Where the beams hit, the ships simply stopped existing. Not destroyed, not blown apart. They just vanished, leaving empty space behind. In less than an hour, the entire Kethmori defense fleet was gone. Then the Veltar ships turned their attention to the planet itself. How is this possible? Asked Dr. Kang Dae-ho, Earth's representative, to the Council Science Division. He was one of only a few humans allowed to attend high-level meetings, mostly because the Council thought human science was too primitive to matter. What kind of technology can phase through solid matter? Hyun-woo watched Dae-ho carefully. The scientist was playing his role perfectly, asking questions that a primitive species would ask while secretly recording everything for Earth's real scientists to analyze. We don't know, admitted Chief Scientist Vexahai. Our best theorists are studying the recordings, but the physics involved are beyond our current understanding. The Veltar appear to exist partially outside normal spacetime. What about their weapons? Asked Captain Nam Soo-jin. She commanded one of Earth's merchant vessels and had been attending the meeting to discuss shipping contracts. Like all of Earth's ship captains, she was actually a military officer, but the Council saw her as a simple cargo hauler. How do they make things disappear? Unknown, Vexhai replied. The energy signatures don't match anything in our databases. It's as if they're using completely different physical laws. The recording continued, showing the Veltar ships approaching Kethmore Prime. They arranged themselves in a pattern around the planet, and then something impossible happened. The planet began to crack, split by forces that seemed to come from within. The Kethmori had built underground cities deep in their world's core, thinking they would be safe from any attack. They were wrong. The Veltar weapons reached right through the planet's crust and shattered everything inside. Within minutes, a world that had stood strong for millions of years was broken beyond repair. How many other systems have they attacked? Asked General Mordun. 7 that we know of, Zephlon answered. The Zephai colony worlds of Bright Star and New Hope, the Morden meditation planet of Deep Peace, 3 independent mining worlds, and now Kethmore Prime. The hall fell silent. Those were some of the most heavily defended worlds in the galaxy. If the Veltar could destroy them so easily, nowhere was safe. What do they want? Someone called out. A new image appeared on the screen. It showed a massive ship, larger than any vessel the Council had ever built. The ship looked like a moving city, covered in towers and weapons that hurt to look at directly. And from this ship, a message had been broadcast to every world in the galaxy. The figure on the screen was clearly Veltar, but unlike anything from the old stories. General Yoon Ji-hae was tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to absorb light, and eyes that burned like stars. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of absolute authority. "People of this galaxy," she said, her words translated into every known language. "You live in our territory. For 3,000 years, we have watched you spread across worlds that belong to us. We have been patient, but our patience is ended." The image changed to show a map of the galaxy. Vast sections were highlighted in red, marking territory the Veltar claimed as their own. It covered more than half of all inhabited space, including most of the Council's core worlds. "You have 7 days to begin evacuation of our territory," Ji-hae continued. "Those who leave peacefully will be allowed to settle in the outer regions. Those who resist will be removed by force. This is not a negotiation. This is a statement of fact." The message ended, leaving the assembly hall in stunned silence. 7 days to evacuate billions of beings from hundreds of worlds. It was impossible. "We have to fight," declared General Mordun. "The Council has the strongest military force in the galaxy. Surely we can stand against them." "With what?" asked Admiral Kelton of the Defense Fleet. "They destroyed the Keth Mori home fleet without taking a single hit. Our weapons can't even touch their ships." "Then we adapt," Mordun replied. "We study their technology, find weaknesses, develop countermeasures." "In 7 days?" Kelton's laugh was bitter. "It took us centuries to develop our current weapons. You want to create something completely new in a week?" Hyunwoo listened to the arguments while staying silent. Earth was expected to contribute nothing to military discussions. They were miners and janitors, after all. What could they possibly know about warfare? But in his hidden earpiece, he was receiving constant updates from Earth's military commanders. Admiral Kim So-ra had already begun moving ships into position, disguised as evacuation vessels and supply convoys. Captain Soo-jin's merchant fleet was actually a battle group armed with weapons the Council couldn't imagine. "Perhaps," Hyunwoo said quietly, "Earth could help with evacuation efforts. Our ships are slow, but we have many of them. We could assist in moving civilians to safety." Several council members turned to look at him with surprise, as if they had forgotten humans were present. "That's actually helpful," admitted Councillor Vexhai. "Your cargo capacity is quite good, even if your technology is limited." "We would be honored to serve," Hyunwoo replied with a humble bow. What the Council didn't know was that Earth's evacuation fleet would position human ships throughout the galaxy. In every system, near every important world, Earth's hidden warships would be waiting and watching. "Very well," announced High Counselor Zeflon. "All species will contribute what they can to the defense effort. The Science Division will study Veltar technology. The Military Council will prepare our fleets, and the lesser species will assist with evacuation and support roles." The meeting broke up into smaller groups as representatives began planning their response. Daeho joined the science teams, where he would carefully share just enough human knowledge to be helpful without revealing Earth's true capabilities. Soo-jin met with logistics coordinators, positioning her fleet where it could do the most good when the time came, and Hyunwoo found himself assigned to refugee coordination, a job that would let him place human ships near every major population center in the galaxy. Later, in his small ship heading back toward Earth, Hyunwoo received a secure transmission from Admiral So-ra. "How bad is it?" she asked. "Worse than we thought," Hyunwoo replied. "The Veltar technology is completely different from anything the Council has developed. Their ships can phase in and out of normal space, and their weapons seem to erase matter from existence. Can our weapons hurt them? Unknown. But I think we're about to find out." Hyunwoo paused, looking out at the stars. "Admiral, they're not just using advanced technology. They're using physics that the Council doesn't understand. Physics that we've been studying in secret for decades. You think our approach might work where the Council's failed?" "I think we're the only ones who have a chance." As his ship traveled through space toward Earth, Hyunwoo thought about the choice they would soon have to make. For 300 years, humanity had remained hidden, building strength while the galaxy thought them weak. They had the ships, the weapons, and the knowledge to fight the Veltar. 5 days remained. The Council's capital world of Central Prime buzzed with desperate activity. Ships arrived every hour carrying refugees from the outer worlds. Their cargo holds packed with families who had lost everything. The lucky ones had escaped before the Veltar arrived. The unlucky ones were simply gone, along with their entire planets. Commander Bae Jun-ho stood in the Central Prime Traffic Control Center, wearing the simple uniform of an Earth evacuation coordinator. His job was supposed to be moving ships to safe areas and making sure supplies reached the right places. To everyone watching, he looked like a helpful human doing his best with limited resources, but Jun-ho was actually one of Earth's best military strategists. And instead of managing refugees, he was positioning humanity's hidden war fleet throughout the system. "Transport Group 7, please adjust your course to heading 290, he said into his communicator. To the Council controllers, it looked like he was directing a convoy of Earth cargo ships carrying food and medical supplies. In reality, he was moving 3 heavy battleships disguised as freight haulers into position near the system's outer defense grid. "Understood, Control," came the reply from Captain Oh Jin-seok. His ship, the Peaceful Trader, looked like a beaten-up cargo vessel that might fall apart at any moment. Hidden beneath its fake hull was enough firepower to destroy a moon. "We're happy to help wherever needed." Across the control center, alien staff members smiled at the humble human captain's willingness to serve. They had no idea they were watching. "One of the most dangerous warships in the galaxy move into attack position." "Sir," whispered Jun-ho's assistant, Engineer Seo Hana. She was supposed to be monitoring evacuation ship systems, but her real job was making sure all the fake human technology kept working properly. "Long-range sensors are detecting movement in the outer system. Big movement." Jun-ho nodded slightly. "How long?" 6 hours, maybe less. The Veltar were coming early. In the Council's main military command center, Admiral Kelton stared at tactical displays showing the defense of Central Prime. 2,000 ships from dozens of species formed. Protective rings around the planet. It was the largest fleet ever assembled, carrying the most advanced weapons the galaxy had ever developed. It wouldn't be enough. Everyone knew it, even if no one would say it out loud. "Final weapon tests are complete," reported Chief Scientist HFY. "The new quantum disruption missiles show promise, but we haven't had time for proper field testing." "What about the phase variance shields?" asked General Morton. Her people had worked around the clock to develop new defensive technology based on their limited understanding of Veltar attacks. "Theoretical success rate is 60%, HFY admitted. "But that's only if our theories about their phasing technology are correct." Dr. Kang Dae-ho listened from his position at the science station. As Earth's representative to the Weapon Development Project, he had carefully guided their research in useful directions while making sure they didn't accidentally discover anything that might work too well. The Council needed to fail here. If they somehow found a way to beat the Veltar on their own, they would never learn how much they needed Earth's help. And Earth needed the Council to understand their true position in the galaxy. "Dr. Kang," HFY called out, "have your people made any progress with the gravity wave analysis?" Dae-ho looked up from his displays, showing just the right amount of hopeful enthusiasm. "We've been working very hard, sir. Our computers are limited, but we think we understand maybe 10% of the readings from the Veltar weapons." 10%? HFY sighed. "Well, it's better than nothing. Can your analysis help with our shield modifications?" "We've prepared a report," Dae-ho said, handing over a datapad. "We hope it's useful." The report contained real information about Veltar technology, but only enough to confirm that the Council's defensive plans wouldn't work. Earth scientists had already analyzed the battle recordings and understood exactly how Veltar weapons functioned. The Council's new shields would last approximately 30 seconds longer than their old ones. In the civilian sections of Central Prime, millions of beings waited in fear. The planet's surface was covered with temporary shelters housing refugees from destroyed worlds. They looked up at the sky and saw the great defense fleet, and some of them felt hope. Pilot Lim Dong-wook flew his small scout ship between the massive Council warships, officially checking evacuation routes and communication systems. His ship was one of hundreds of small Earth vessels scattered throughout the fleet, all supposedly performing support duties. Actually, they were gathering the most detailed intelligence scan of the Council's military capabilities that had ever been attempted. Every weapon, every shield generator, every piece of equipment was being recorded and analyzed. "This is amazing," Dong-wook whispered into his secure communicator. "The Morden battle cruisers have gravitational anchor points that we never knew about. And the HFY carriers are using quantum field generators we could really learn from." "Focus on defensive systems," came Admiral Sora's voice in his earpiece. "We need to know exactly how fast their shields will fail." "Already got it. The quantum disruption shields will last 43 seconds against Veltar weapons. The phase variance fields might last a minute, but only if the Veltar don't adapt their frequency. And they will adapt. Oh yes, probably within the first few shots." Dong-wook completed his patrol and docked at one of Central Prime's space stations. Around him, the Council fleet waited in perfect formation. From a distance, it looked magnificent and powerful. But Dong-wook had seen the technical specifications. He knew exactly how quickly it would die. 6 hours later, the first Veltar ships appeared at the edge of the system. They came out of what looked like empty space, as if reality itself was opening doorways to let them through. One moment, the outer sensor grid showed nothing. The next moment, it showed 300 massive warships arranged in perfect attack formation. "All ships, battle stations," Admiral Kelton broadcast across the fleet. "This is not a drill. Prepare for engagement." The Council fleet moved forward to meet them. 2,000 ships against 300 seemed like good odds, until you remembered that 300 Veltar ships had already destroyed 7 heavily defended star systems. General Yoon Ji-hai's face appeared on communication screens throughout the system. She looked exactly as she had in her first message, calm and completely confident. "People of Central Prime," she said, "your 7 days have expired. You have chosen to resist rather than evacuate. This choice will have consequences." "General Ji-hai," Admiral Kelton replied. "This is Admiral Kelton of the Galactic Council Defense Fleet. We are prepared to negotiate a peaceful solution to this conflict." Ji-hai's expression didn't change. "There is nothing to negotiate. You are in our territory. Remove yourselves or be removed." "This galaxy belongs to all species," General Morden broke in. "We will not abandon our homes to ancient claims. Then you will die for them." The communication ended. For a moment, space was silent, except for the hum of engines and the whisper of energy charging in weapon systems. Then, the Veltar opened fire. Dark energy beams reached across space faster than anything the Council had ever seen. They struck the leading edge of the defense fleet, and ships began to disappear. Not exploding, not breaking apart, just vanishing as if they had never existed. "Return fire," Kelton ordered. "All ships, engage the enemy." The Council fleet's response was impressive. Thousands of energy weapons fired at once, creating a light show that could be seen from the planet's surface. Quantum torpedoes, plasma. Cannons, gravitational disruptors, and particle beams all struck the Veltar ships at the same time, and did absolutely nothing. The weapons passed right through the Veltar vessels as if they were made of light instead of matter. A few Council weapons seemed to hit something solid, but the damage was minor. Scorch marks appeared on Veltar hulls and then faded away like they were healing. "Impossible," breathed Vex-High. "Their ships are phasing in and out of our reality. They can choose when to be solid and when to be transparent." "Can we match their phase frequency?" asked Daeho, playing his role perfectly. "We're trying, but they keep changing it. Every few seconds they shift to a different quantum state." The Council fleet kept firing, pouring everything they had into the Veltar ships. Occasionally, a shot would connect, proving that the enemy vessels could be hurt. But for every hit the Council scored, they lost dozens of ships to the Veltar's responding fire. "Sir," reported one of Junho's assistants in the evacuation center, "we're getting casualties reports from the fleet. The Keth Mori battle group is down to half strength. The HFY carrier group has lost 60% of its ships." Junho nodded, watching his displays show the Council fleet being systematically destroyed. Each loss was a tragedy, filled with brave beings who were dying to protect their homes. But their sacrifice was necessary for the greater plan. "Continue evacuation procedures," he ordered, "and make sure our ships stay well back from the combat zone." What he didn't say was that Earth's hidden fleet was recording everything. Every Veltar weapon signature, every phase shift, every tactical movement was being analyzed by computers that could think faster than any organic brain. Admiral Kim So-ra stood on the bridge of her flagship, staring at the tactical display showing the destruction of the Council fleet. Around her, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, monitoring systems that officially didn't exist. Aboard what was supposed to be a simple mining vessel, the ship was called Earth's Promise in the public records, listed as a slow cargo hauler carrying supplies to Outer Rim mining operations. In reality, it was the most advanced warship humanity had ever built, hidden in plain sight among the evacuation fleet. "Admiral," reported her tactical officer, Lieutenant Park Yoon-ji, "Central Prime's planetary shields are failing. The Veltar are beginning bombardment of the surface." Sora watched the main screen show dark energy beams striking the planet's defenses. Each hit weakened the shields, protecting billions of refugees and Council citizens below. At this rate, the shields would collapse within an hour. "Time for the fleet to reach full combat positions?" she asked. 18 minutes for the primary battle groups. 30 minutes for all ships to drop their disguises and power up weapons. "We don't have 30 minutes. Sora had been dreading this moment for decades. As one of only a dozen people who knew the full extent of Earth's hidden military power, she understood what was about to happen. In the next few minutes, humanity would either save the galaxy or reveal themselves as the greatest threat it had ever known. She opened a secure channel to Ambassador Park Hyun-woo, who was still aboard his small diplomatic ship near Central. "Prime's orbital stations. Ambassador," she said, "it's time." Hyun-woo's face appeared on her screen. Behind him, she could see the lights of Council ships burning in space as they fell back toward the planet in desperate retreat. "Are you certain?" he asked. "Once we do this, there's no going back. Every species in the galaxy will know what we really are. Look at your screens, Ambassador. The Council fleet is broken. Central Prime's shields are failing. In 1 hour, this planet will be a dead rock, and the Veltar will control half the galaxy." Hyun-woo was quiet for a moment, then nodded. "Do it." Sora turned to her communications officer. "Signal all Earth vessels. Authorization code Alpha 77. Drop the Masquerade. Repeat, drop the Masquerade." Across the system, dozens of human ships that had been pretending to be civilian evacuation vessels suddenly began to change. What had looked like slow, clumsy cargo haulers started shedding their fake outer hulls like snakes dropping old skin. Captain Oh Jin-seok's peaceful trader was one of the first to transform. The ship's outer cargo containers fell away, revealing sleek weapon pods and sensor arrays that had been hidden underneath. Engine signatures that had read as primitive fusion drives suddenly showed the clean energy patterns of antimatter reactors, running at full power. "All crew, battle stations," Jin-seok announced to his ship. "This is what we've been training for." Around him, his bridge crew dropped their act of being simple merchant sailors. These were some of Earth's best military officers, and they had been waiting their entire careers for this moment. In the Council Evacuation Center, Commander Bae Jun-ho received the signal and felt a mixture of relief and terror. For so long, they had hidden what they really were. Now everyone would know. "Sir," called out the analyst Tekara, "I'm reading massive energy spikes from the Earth ships. Their engine outputs just increased by over 3,000%. That's impossible with the technology they've shown us." Jun-ho looked at her for a moment, then made his decision. "Tekara, I need you to understand something. Everything you thought you knew about Earth is wrong." Before she could respond, Jun-ho activated a hidden control panel in his workstation. Across the evacuation center, holographic displays came to life showing the real positions and capabilities of Earth's fleet. "By the ancestors," whispered Tekara, staring at the displays. "There are hundreds of them. How did we not see hundreds of warships?" "Because you weren't looking for them," Jun-ho replied. "You saw what we wanted you to see." On the main battle screen, something impossible was happening. Ships that the Council had thought were simple cargo vessels were revealing themselves as massive battleships. Vessels that had been hiding among the evacuation fleet suddenly showed weapon signatures more powerful than anything the Council had ever built. Dr. Yu Su-young's voice came over the general communication channel, broadcast to every ship in the system. She was supposed to be a simple Earth scientist working on basic fusion research. Instead, She sounded like someone who understood technology beyond the Council's wildest dreams. "Attention all vessels," she announced. "This is Dr. Yu Su-young, Director of Earth's Advanced Warfare Research Division. For 300 years, my people have been studying your technology and your enemies. Today, you will learn what we have discovered." In the Veltar fleet, General Yoon Ji-hai watched the transformation with interest rather than alarm. Her ships had ignored the Earth vessels during the battle because they seemed too primitive to bother with. Now she was seeing their true nature. "Fascinating," she said to her tactical officer. "It seems the youngest species has been playing a deeper game than we suspected. Should we engage them, General?" "Not yet. Let's see what they're truly capable of." Captain Nam Soo-jin commanded one of the largest ships in Earth's hidden fleet. Her vessel, disguised as a simple freight hauler, revealed itself as a massive carrier loaded with fighter craft that used technology the Council had never seen. "Launch all squadrons," she ordered. "Target priority is Veltar command ships. Show them what human engineering can really do." Her fighters poured out of hidden launch bays, moving faster than anything else in space. They weren't using conventional engines at all, but rather manipulating space-time itself to achieve impossible acceleration. Pilot Lim Dong-wook led the first attack run against the Veltar fleet. His fighter was small and looked almost fragile, next to the massive alien warships, but it carried weapons based on principles that Earth had been developing in secret for centuries. "Target acquired," he reported, locking onto a Veltar heavy cruiser. "Beginning attack run." The Veltar ship began to phase out of normal space, using their standard defense against energy weapons. But Dong-wook wasn't carrying energy weapons. "Firing. Gravitational disruptor," he announced. The weapon didn't fire energy or matter. Instead, it fired a pulse of twisted space-time that reached out and grabbed the Veltar ship, forcing it back into normal reality whether it wanted to be there or not. "What?" Ji-hai exclaimed from her command ship as her vessel's phasing systems suddenly failed. "How are they preventing phase transitions?" Her question was answered when more Earth fighters opened fire with weapons that seemed to ignore the laws of physics. Kinetic rounds that accelerated themselves, energy beams that bent around shields to strike their targets directly, and missiles that opened small portals in space to deliver their warheads inside enemy hulls. Lieutenant Park Yoon-ji coordinated the attack from Admiral Sora's flagship, watching as Earth's true military power revealed itself for the first time in 3 centuries. "Veltar flagship is locked in normal space," she reported. "All squadrons are beginning attack runs." "What about their adaptive defenses?" Sora asked. "They're trying to adapt, but our weapons are changing faster than their systems can keep up. Dr. Yu designed them to shift frequencies and attack patterns every few seconds." The Veltar had built their entire military strategy around being able to phase out of normal space when threatened and then return to attack with weapons their enemies couldn't stop. But Earth's approach was completely different. Instead of trying to match Veltar technology, human scientists had learned to manipulate the fundamental forces that made their phasing possible. Earth's weapons didn't try to hit phase targets. They forced those targets to become solid so they could be hit. "Impossible," Ji-hai muttered as her ship's shields began failing under the human assault. "How do they understand dimensional mechanics better than we do?" The answer was simple, though she didn't know it yet. For 300 years, Earth had been studying every piece of technology they could find, including ancient Veltar artifacts that other species had dismissed as worthless. While the Council focused on improving their existing energy-based weapons, Earth had been learning the secrets of space and time itself. Admiral Kelton watched from his crippled flagship as Earth's fleet engaged the Veltar with devastating effect. Ships that had seemed invincible just hours ago were now being systematically destroyed by vessels he had thought were simple cargo haulers. "How is this possible?" he asked General Morden. "Where did they get this technology?" "I think," Morden replied slowly, "they've had it all along. On Central Prime's surface, millions of beings looked up at the sky and saw something that would change their understanding of the galaxy forever. The primitive species they had thought of as helpful servants was fighting the unstoppable Veltar, fleet and winning." Captain Jin Seok's battleship closed with Ji-hai's flagship, its weapons tearing through Veltar defenses like they were made of paper. The human ship's hull was covered in technology that shouldn't exist, devices that bent light and gravity and time itself. General Ji Hai, Jin Seok broadcast on an open channel. I am Captain Oh Jin Seok of the Earth Defense Force. Your fleet is defeated. 3 weeks after the battle at Central Prime, the galaxy had still not recovered from the shock of Earth's revelation. Fleet Admiral Jang Mi-young stood in the rebuilt council chamber, looking out at representatives who no longer knew how to treat her species. Gone were the condescending smiles and helpful assignments to simple tasks. Now, when council members looked at Earth's representatives, Mi-young saw a mixture of fear, anger, and grudging respect that made every conversation complicated. The joint patrol of the Outer Rim sectors has been successful, she reported to the assembled council. Combined Earth Council forces have secured 17 systems previously held by Veltar remnant groups. High Counselor Zephlon nodded, his silver skin still pale from stress. And the, integration of human tactical methods with our traditional approaches? Better than expected, Mi-young replied diplomatically. In truth, the council species were struggling to adapt to warfare techniques that seemed to ignore everything they thought they knew about physics. Your people are learning quickly. What she didn't say was that human officers were having to constantly hold back, carefully showing only small pieces of Earth's true military knowledge. The council was already frightened enough without seeing the full extent of human capabilities. Ambassador Song Woo-jin had replaced Hyun-woo as Earth's primary diplomatic representative, and his job was much harder than his predecessors had been. Instead of pretending to be weak and grateful, he now had to negotiate with species who didn't trust anything Earth said. The question of territorial readjustment remains complex, announced Counselor Vex High during the territorial rights discussion. Some species feel that Earth's previous misrepresentation of their capabilities invalidates their current territorial claims. Wu Jin kept his expression neutral. Earth's territorial claims remain exactly what they were when we joined the Council 300 years ago. Our military capabilities don't change our legal rights to the worlds we already inhabit. But your hidden military bases, pressed General Morden. How many worlds that we thought were simple mining colonies were actually fortress worlds? Currently classified, Wu Jin replied. Though I can assure the Council that none of our defensive installations threaten peaceful neighbors. The truth was that Earth had military installations in almost every system they operated in. The Council members' worst fears about human deception were actually underestimations of what humanity had really been doing. In a secure briefing room deep beneath Central Prime's surface, Dr. No Kyung-soo was slowly introducing Council scientists to technologies that Earth had been developing in secret. The process required incredible delicacy, as too much advancement too quickly would terrify the very people they were trying to help. The gravitational manipulation matrix, he explained, to a group of the galaxy's best scientists, allows for controlled warping of local space-time. We use it primarily for faster-than-light travel, without the massive energy requirements of traditional warp drives. Dr. Vex High examined the device with instruments that seemed primitive compared to human sensors. This technology should require the power output of a star. How do you generate sufficient energy? We don't generate it, Kyung-soo replied. We borrow it from the quantum fluctuations in empty space itself. The universe provides unlimited energy if you know how to ask politely. The alien scientists stared at him as if he had claimed to violate the laws of thermodynamics, which, from their perspective, he essentially had. This will revolutionize everything, whispered Dr. Zar then of the Zeph High. Transportation, manufacturing, planetary engineering. Why didn't you share this centuries ago? Kyung-soo looked uncomfortable. Because we needed to be sure you would use it responsibly. Technology this powerful can destroy civilizations as easily as it can help them. The real reason, which he couldn't say, was that Earth's leaders had wanted to see how the Council species behaved when they thought they held the technological advantage. The results had been educational, but not particularly encouraging. Meanwhile, Intelligence Chief Han Yonseo was dealing with the most delicate problem of all, explaining to the Council exactly how much Earth knew about their secrets. Your intelligence penetration was comprehensive, Admiral Kelton said, reading through a report that detailed 3 centuries of human espionage. You have agents in every major government, every military organization, every research facility. Had, Yonseo corrected. Most of our operatives have been reassigned now that secrecy is no longer necessary. Most? Some operations remain classified for the protection of ongoing galactic security. Kelton looked up from the report. You know things about our species that we don't know about ourselves, don't you? Intelligence gathering was necessary for our survival, Yonseo replied. When you're surrounded by species with superior technology, information becomes your most important weapon. What she didn't mention was that Earth's intelligence network had discovered several plots against the Council that they had quietly prevented over the years. 3 assassination attempts, 2 coup attempts, and 1 plan to trigger a war between the Keth Mori and Zeph-Hai had all been stopped by human agents working in secret. The Council didn't need to know about those interventions yet. They were already struggling to accept that Earth had been manipulating galactic politics for centuries. On the detention facility orbiting Central Prime, General Yoon Ji-hai sat in a comfortable cell designed for high-value prisoners. Her capture had provided Earth with invaluable intelligence about Veltar technology and their long-term plans for the galaxy. Captain Nam Soo-jin visited regularly to conduct interviews, trying to understand how the Veltar had developed their dimensional phasing technology and whether other threats might be lurking in the unexplored regions of space. Your people fight well, Ji-hai admitted during one session. I underestimated you because you appeared weak. That was a tactical error on my part. We spent a long time making sure everyone would underestimate us, Soo-jin replied. It seemed like good strategy at the time. And now? What happens to the galaxy now that the humans have revealed themselves? Soo-jin was quiet for a moment, considering the question. That depends on how everyone else adapts to the new situation. You could conquer us all, Ji-hai observed. Your technology is advanced enough, your military is large enough. Why don't you? Because we never wanted to rule the galaxy. We just wanted to make sure nobody else could rule us. Ji-hee studied the human captain's face, looking for signs of deception. You really mean that, don't you? You're genuinely not interested in conquest. Conquest is expensive and complicated. We prefer to be left alone to pursue our own interests. Then why reveal yourselves at all? You could have continued hiding and remained safe. Soo-jin smiled slightly. Because sometimes being safe isn't enough. Sometimes you have to protect the people who can't protect themselves. Back in the council chamber, the debate about Earth's new status continued to rage. Some species wanted to offer humanity leadership positions in recognition of their strength. Others worried that Earth's long deception proved they couldn't be trusted with authority. The humans saved us from the Veltar, argued Counselor Tekara, who had been promoted after her analysis helped uncover Earth's hidden fleet. Without their intervention, we would all be dead or enslaved. They also lied to us for 3 centuries, countered General Mordoon. How do we know they're not still lying? How do we know they haven't been controlling galactic politics all along? Because if we had been controlling galactic politics, Wu Jin said calmly, do you really think we would have let things get as messy as they did? The chamber fell silent, as representatives considered this point. The galaxy had seen dozens of wars, political crises, and economic disasters over the past 3 centuries. If Earth had really been in control, surely they would have prevented such chaos, unless some delegates thought nervously the chaos had served Earth's purposes. Fleet Admiral Mi Young was dealing with similar trust issues in the military integration meetings. Council officers wanted to learn human tactics but were afraid of becoming too dependent on Earth's technological advantages. The gravitational anchor technique, she explained to a group of senior officers, prevents enemy ships from using dimensional phasing or other reality-shifting defenses, but it requires precise timing and coordination between multiple vessels. What if Earth ships weren't available to provide anchoring support? Asked Admiral Kelton. Could our forces use this technique independently? With training and the right equipment? Yes. Though I should mention that the equipment is somewhat complex to manufacture. The truth was that the gravitational anchor system required technology so advanced that council species would need decades to understand it fully, much less build their own versions. But Mi Young was trying to be encouraging while still being honest. As the months passed, the galaxy slowly adapted to its new reality. Trade agreements were renegotiated to account for Earth's true industrial capacity, Defense treaties were rewritten to include human military capabilities. Scientific exchange programs began sharing knowledge that had been hidden for centuries. But trust remained fragile. Many species continued to wonder what else Earth might be hiding.